Now, on Enough Said, with K-Fans Dan Barrero and Justin Gard. Enough Said.
Hey, fellas, listen. I say it over and over again how proud I am of you. Tonight you did it with your offense. To put up 89 at Maryland versus a great team. There's no more talk about NCAA tournament. We're talking about seeds in the NCAA tournament. When you have no ego as a team, that is the greatest strength of anything that you could have. You're the most selfless team I've been around. Let's keep this train moving. 6 in a row. Great job.
Welcome to another edition of Enough Said with the very selfless Ron Johnson filling in for Dan Barrero. I'm Justin Gard, and Lori Fisher gets us started as usual. Hi, Lori.
Hi, guys. Welcome, Ron. That's fun to watch, isn't it? The excitement is building for Saturday night when the Gophers take on Penn State. They beat Maryland this week, putting them at 6 straight wins. Justin, you talked to Coach Pitino this week. He has to be feeling good.
He does feel good, Ron, and he gets to go to Starbucks now, as he mentioned, and he doesn't have to just go through the drive-thru every single time. He can actually go in the store. He can actually visit with people. They want to talk about Gopher basketball. And I was heartened to hear that it's almost a sellout tomorrow or Saturday, which is fantastic because even earlier this week, after they'd beaten Michigan, I didn't get the sense that people had completely bought in and were completely excited. And given where they were a year ago and they won 8 games, I get the hesitation. But this is a fun team to watch. I mean, for a team you want to pull for, State University, they've got guards, they've got bigs, they've got depth, they've got a bench, they play together, they play defense. They have a coach who I think is fairly self-aware for a young guy. So I'm very encouraged that people are starting to feel it a little bit, and we're going back to the tournament. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think Minnesota fans overall are just like heartbroken in every sport. So
we're always hesitant.
I mean, I hear people talking about the Wild and they're slow to go. But if you look at Amir Coffey, Nate Mason, I mean, they have some guys that are getting some production. And I watched Coffey in high school, and people question, was he going to be big enough or strong enough? And he's showing it. He can get it done. He's an explosive player. But overall, I mean, they only lost 5 games in a stretch, and then they've turned it back around. So I think people need to get on board because they need them there. But, yeah, you're right. After you beat Maryland, everybody wants to come around now. You got Penn State, Nebraska, and, of course, the team we all hate.
That would be Wisconsin. Yeah,
I don't even want to say it.
You won't say it. I can say it.
I can't say it.
We always talk about, the Clem years, the Clem Haskins years. You went to school there right at the tail end of all of that. But the Clem seasons that we all pine for, that's kind of what's going on right now. Besides 1997, which doesn't count technically.
It counts.
I was there, believe me. It counts in my mind as an
just
eighth
like
grader
the Fab Five,
who watched all of that. And so, but this season that they're having now is pretty similar to all the Clem years, where they're 21-7, they're right around 500 or a little bit better in the Big Ten. And so that has been my biggest argument on the radio, is that we all say this is what we want, just like when Clem was here. This is, besides the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16 and the Final Four, and we'll get to know that story here in the next couple of weeks, how far they go. This is those seasons, so we should enjoy it.
I think Daddy Pitino is what I think people are looking for, because now his dad can actually say, hey, now I can tell you some stuff because you hadn't gotten here.
To the tournament?
To the tournament. And you have a big,
I'm worried about Dad Pitino, and I told Richard this. Because,
I heard on the radio.
And I've said it on this show. I think this is where this story broke, so to speak. The NCAA tournament loves stories. They love storylines. Is there a better story than Father Pitino and Son Pitino facing off in the NCAA tournament? No, it'd be one of the great stories of the tournament, and that's why Richard needs to cut his dad off right now. And I think he came along to that because he was just here a week ago. That's no accident. He's starting to feel it a little bit. He knows, and if it's Sweet 16,
cut your dad off.
But if it's Sweet 16 or his kid, he's taking the Sweet 16.
You can't cut your dad off. He still gets an allowance probably.
Let's move on to football. We are months away from the next season, but Vikings general manager Rick Spielman tells beat writers that there's still no timetable for Teddy Bridgewater to be back. As we know, he suffered a bad injury last fall. Coach Zimmer said he was worried about Teddy last month. Ron, start this one.
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing about Teddy is you don't really know what you're going to get out of him. And so Sam Bradford, he led the NFL and set a record for completions. He's good. Shermer taking over for North Turner. It's kind of it was a whirlwind type of season. We were 5-0, and then we turn around and 8-8. I mean, you just don't know what you were getting out of this team. Going into the offseason, I think the move is just saying, hey, Teddy, we have a quarterback. We don't need to rush you back because if you come back too soon, it could be detrimental to your entire career or even your life. I mean, they almost said he might have lost his leg if they didn't get certain limbs put back together right. And so when you turn around and have a guy like Sam Bradford, and I saw Adam Thielen today, I mean, you have to go with the guys that he's able to throw with right now because you can't expect to get Teddy back in August, and that's the first time he's ready to throw the ball. You have to have a full off season, and I think that's what he's kind of alluding to, that we have a quarterback, we have a guy ready to go, we need to go out there and get some offensive linemen, and we got to find a running back. So I think that's
they have to find a lot, and they have to find some offensive linemen, like you said. You don't trade a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick for a quarterback for a one-year experiment.
Unless you're the Browns.
Unless you're the Browns, or unless it was Brett Favre back in 2009 where they didn't have to trade for him, but where you had a one-and-done situation.
Right.
You make this move, you invest that many picks because you're unsure
Yeah.
of Teddy Bridgewater, right? That's why they did it.
I
That's
mean,
why
and
they
doctors
made
are
that move.
saying 2018 is even a maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
right.
when you completely dislocate your knee and everything. I mean, they were saying arteries could have been affected.
Right.
Numbness in the leg might not, go away. So there's a lot of factors in there that they have to get him back on the field. See if, and it was a non-contact, and that's the tough part.
He was just dropping back.
Yeah, so
It's
you don't know if
scary.
it's a structural thing that was there that they had no clue of. And so now if he doesn't come back strong, now you've just, kind of gotten rid of Bradford and hoped Teddy's your guy. And when Teddy was healthy, honestly, people were mad at him then, though.
Well, we weren't sure.
Yeah.
That's why this season was going to be big for
people
Teddy.
were saying he couldn't make the deep throws and he
We
couldn't,
weren't sure about
he
him
couldn't
yet.
make some of the pocket down the field, come back 18 yards, sideline to sideline throws. So, I mean, of course, people love Teddy, and when he got hurt, he became the media darling. But let's not forget the season before when Teddy was at the helm and they lost to the Seahawks, how everybody was down on that. And when they lost to the Pack, all that stuff. It was just, I think that was the right time for the injury to happen, for them to fall in love with Teddy. But then Sam Bradford came in and he made people forget quick.
And Dan and I have battled about this, what to do with Sam Bradford, because
you re-sign him.
You know as well as anybody, it's hard. I don't know where you would put him. Maybe top 15 quarterback in the NFL, right around there.
Yeah.
But even then, it's hard to find a quarterback at that level. You can be in the bottom 15 a lot quicker than you can in the top 15. I would definitely give him some kind of extension.
Oh, yeah,
Not
sure.
crazy money, but you have no idea.
And
he's
he has to
good
be
enough.
cap friendly. It's a cap friendly, restructure, and I think he's willing to do that because he wants to get offensive linemen. And you tell him, hey, if your contract fits, we can go get a running back. We can get some offensive linemen in there. Maybe not this year, but next year we got to get a cap friendly.
Okay, let's go to the next one. The Wild are on a bye week. Something new for the NHL season. They can't have any team activities for 5 days. Unfortunately, they lost this week to the Blackhawks. Here is some sound from after that game.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, and like I said earlier, I think the biggest key was we didn't win enough one-on-one battles, and that's kind of cost us the game.
It was a little too late. We gotta start pushing and playing like we can. A little earlier than that.
That's why they've won 3 cups. Because those guys in big games play big.
So here's the question. How does the Wild react to being on a bye? Get this, out of the 20 teams that have played right after having a bye, only 4 have won. Justin.
There's a lot of rust when you take that week off, apparently, and especially what I am worried about a number of things. Number one, Nino Niederreiter's going to Jamaica, I think, with his gal. They're going all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think they're going to exactly be locked in when they come back Sunday at 5 o'clock. Stupid idea to do this bye week. Nobody really likes it. But what was interesting this week is if it were any other team on Tuesday night besides the Chicago Blackhawks and the Wild played that way, I think fans and maybe even the team itself would feel a little bit better saying, all right, let's take 5 days off. They've had a great regular season so far. We're getting ready for the playoffs. It's going to be a fun spring. It's going to be a big push. But it was the Chicago Blackhawks, as Bruce Boudreau just said, the team that's won 3 cups, the team that's knocked you out of the playoffs 3 times, including a sweep a couple of years ago when you thought you were the better team. I call it the fragile Minnesota fan, Ron. You kind of alluded to it already in this show. We are always on the edge of just falling off the cliff, so to speak. Yeah. And it was interesting that once Chicago got going, all it took was a hat trick by Jonathan Taves on Tuesday night, and by the way, a hat trick by Patrick Kane on Thursday night in their next game. The Blackhawks are starting to push that button, and for as great as the Wild season has been, people are and should be worried about what Chicago represents in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I know Barrero, I think, brought it up that people were asking him, when should I start watching Wild games? Do I start watching now because they're doing good, or do I wait to the playoff push? Do you want to get familiar with the guys? I mean, I love saying Mikko Koivu. I love that name.
You just like saying Mikko?
I think I like it. Mikko Koivu is just a good name.
Sure.
But and then, PA with his whole Boudreau and how many can he win in a row? I mean, there's a lot going on with his team. But I looked at like Jason Zucker and Carly Aplin, for instance. They're in Disney World, I think, or something. So, people are going on. Like the NFL bye week, you don't do that. You kind of
the New York Giants.
Unless you're the Giants,
then
you want to get on the boat.
You hang out and do whatever you want.
And that's OBJ, and Eli wasn't invited, and that whole thing. But if you look at that bye week, I mean, these guys have never had it before, so I think it's a little bit like, what do? I have a week off, and they're planning like weddings and traveling, like you said, Jamaica and Disney World. NFL bye week, it's rest. It's rest, relax, get a little massage, do a couple practices. It's not go out. So I think the NHL is going to figure that out, that, hey, it's not a end-all, be-all, don't do anything. It's maybe let's get some chalk time. I don't know if they can skate on a pond or what they can do.
Yeah, a little warm now. Well, this weekend it might be a little colder. They could go outside.
Or go swimming in the pond.